Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to another podcast session. On today's show, I am so pleased to have Sam Vukas. He's the Chief Operating Officer for Dealer eProcess. Sam, it's so good to have you back on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. And I'm excited about MRC coming up shortly. So we got a lot of DR topics to cover today.
Yeah, in just a few weeks, the Modern Retailing Conference, November 13th, 14th, 15th in Palm Beach. And we're tackling all the issues that dealers are facing as they're evolving their retail model. We're calling it the Modern Retailing Conference for a reason, because we're handling elements of the sales process, the online tools, the HR element, the creative element. And today, I'd really like to get an update from you, Sam, on Dealer eProcess's vision for websites and digital retailing to enhance the customer experience. And then as a website provider, you're also required to support other digital retailing tools. So I really want to get into the state of cooperation or lack of cooperation in order to really satisfy the needs of dealer groups. So let's start at a high level. How is Dealer eProcess looking forward to enhancing the consumer shopping experience for the dealers who are using your platform?
Well, the approach we're trying to take, a good majority of digital retailing starts from the initial searching and browsing perspective. And one thing that we've identified as we've gone down this very long road of digital retailing is we can't just wait for them to get into the digital retailing experience to then try to have that conversation. We have to guide them into it. One thing that we know helps consumers shop when they're looking on the website is payments. Well, if you are not having payments that match the website and digital retailing together, that's kind of a broken experience. So, looking into the future, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit later, we're looking to do a little bit more of a merge of digital retailing and our website experience overall.
Yeah, because if you think about it, outside of automotive, you have a retail website, right? And I know that auto dealers today aren't transacting, and that's the big difference, right? We used to keep all transactional numbers in the four walls of the F&I office, and just before the pandemic, digital retailing kind of made that step of getting dealers comfortable with sharing payments or near perfect payments outside of the F&I walls. But really, the natural evolution, right, is that a Dealer eProcess website is the retailing suite. Everything's integrated. And I guess more importantly, Sam, I think we need some more flexibility, because I know that, like, for example, Audi doesn't like a subdomain, likes an overlay. Other brands don't care. I mean, I'm thinking that we need to rethink websites and digital retailing from the ground up.
That is correct. So I'll give you two examples. If you go to apple.com and you're trying to buy the new Apple Watch Ultra that just released, are you fed a pop-up or taken off to a different website, or does a little sidebar come out, or do you buy it on the details page? Same thing with a Tesla. You're shopping and getting a Tesla. Where do you make the purchase? The details page. So there's a bit of a disconnect between digital retailing and website vendors. I think everybody rushed to get to digital retailing. I think, maybe a couple of years ago on one of your podcasts, you mentioned at some point there was almost 100, maybe it was over 100 different DR solutions, and they all came in different flavors. Some were glorified payment calculators, some went all the way into sending in the dealer track, and there was everything in between. But the problem is the battle is going to be won by who can give the best consumer experience and who can focus on what that exactly looks like when you're trying to shop.
Yeah, and I have a unique perspective because I look at hundreds of products every year. I try to elevate the people who are doing something different. And I look back and again, just trying to be a historian. I think of folks like Terry Sabatia with his shop by payment efforts. He was an early advocate. Dealer eProcess was one of the earliest, if not the first, soft payment poll to show consumers in their retailing workflow which exact vehicles they had and what their payouts were. Roadster did a good job of creating a more consistent shopping experience by building the DR tools completely off the dealer's website as subdomain. And when you give credit to all these individual pieces and step back and say, hey, maybe it's time for a reset. Maybe we need to say 2023 is the year where websites and digital retailing tools stop being separate, but they really become unified. Is that a fair historical observation, that there were individual leaders, but now we need to create a consistent shopping experience?
That's a fair statement. I think that could even be the theme of the MRC this year.
Right. Well, one thing that I've been trying to say, Sam, is that pre-COVID, only early adopters wanted to show payments online. During COVID, everyone rushed for some digital retailing solution. Post-COVID, some dealers went back to not using DR tools because they were MSRP plus pricing. They didn't want to show it on the website.
Some are still doing that.
Right. And so listen, it's supply demand. So there's no judgment there, but I'm just saying, as a consumer shopping experience, we've seen acceleration, then pullback, acceleration, pullback. And one of the things I was thinking, hey, we're not transactional yet. We're completely transactional because of some laws, wet signatures, but shouldn't dealers at least be using the same tools on their website that they do in the store, right? And this is, I think, a key piece. Connected retailing means that a consumer is seeing similar numbers. And wouldn't it be cool if the consumer used the Dealer eProcess website when they're online and pick it right up in the store on a kiosk, finish everything? One experience, one look, one workflow. Boy, wouldn't that be nice?
It would be. Take it a step further. So imagine you're a dealer group, and I know that you've been beating this war drum for a while. You've got a Kia store, you've got a Hyundai store, you've got a Honda store, you've got a Toyota store. All these brands have different digital retailing providers. So if you're trying to create a brand promise and you have an established network of dealerships over in the East Coast, wherever it is, and you want to give your shopper the experience that you want to give them at Pash Automotive, you can't, because Toyota wants it to look one way, Honda wants it to look another way, Hyundai wants it to look another way. It is going to be physically impossible. So now what we've seen dealers do is create these buying portals where they have group sites and they pick one DR solution. Now they're trying to funnel all this traffic to a group site. Well, you lose SEO value. You lose all kinds of great things that you can have on an individual Honda or Hyundai site. So now imagine, fast forward, you go with the website vendor, and it does not matter if you have to use, let's say, Dealer Inspire's online shopper for Honda, let's just say. And for Hyundai, you have to use DEP. And then for Toyota, you have to use Roadster. Now imagine if the website that you chose, Dealer eProcess, can funnel all of those workflows into the VDP. So now the consumer, it does not matter what digital retailing solution that you're using. It all looks the same from a VDP perspective. Now, when they get into the showroom and you've picked your DR of choice for each store, you've offlined that consumer, you have the in-store tools, you can pick what DR works for you at the store level. Granted, we're not going to win the conversation about having one DR for everybody. It's just never going to happen.
Right.
But if we can at least offline them into something that the store is used to using, you can maintain a brand promise on your website, and the OEM can maintain the look and feel that they want to have too.
Well, that's really a unique perspective, because everyone's so territorial. No one wants to share. Everyone sees someone as a competitor. And what I'm hearing is, hey, let us do the piece that we do best, with data sharing, with integration partnerships. We'll work with any DR tool. Our goal is to make the enterprise, the dealer group, function and work efficiently. That's refreshing to hear. So, Sam, how easy is it to get the digital retailing community to work with you to create the best experience for your shared customers?
It has not been easy. And if anybody from Cox Automotive is listening, I would love a phone call regarding this. We tried to get Accelerate and the team to share data to our web platform. We didn't even ask them to do dev work. I literally gave 5 options and said, we'll do the work. These 3 things are already built. I'll go build these 2. You tell me how I can get it to you or get it from you, or we're willing to work. Let's get this. We've built the black box that can control all the payment details, disclaimers, everything you need to power shop by payments, filtering by payments, sorting by payments, credit scores, the whole 9 yards. We have it. You just give me what you have as your predetermined payments on these cars as a jumping off point. And then once they get into your DR flow, the payment's going to change. We know it's going to change because they're going to enter settings. And I got an unequivocal, no thanks. But, that has not been the case for everybody. Techion's been great. I can't talk, enough about how great they have been to work with. Team V, as far as marketing goes. So we're all built on the same data, essentially. Doesn't matter who it is, whether it's Roadster, whether it's me, whether it's, Dealeron, whether it's Cox Automotive, we all use the same baseline data. So for example, Team V, we have a dealer that's using their marketing, which is using their offer management system to generate actual payments on cars for ads. And they're using our digital retailing websites. Well, we were able to link it so that all of the ads based on inventory that's in stock go out to Google, say $327 a month lease, get to the site, it says $327. They filter, it says $327. They click the button, it says $327. It's completely connected between all of it. Car goes out of stock, changes to $335. Everything on the site changes to $335. So we've done this with other vendors already, and it's worked out great. But it's really going to take everybody kind of just saying, look, we need to work better together. We have to have a better consumer first approach, because all we're doing by drawing these territory lines is making a horrible consumer experience and just making it worse and worse for the dealers when it finally gets to the in-store transaction.
Well, I know the frustration of trying to get people to cooperate. When I built VistaDash, I went out to different companies to see if I could get, data integration, meaning they were delivering reports to their dealers. I just said, can we get that data electronically? And my history trying to get anything in a collaborative setting with some of the larger technology platform companies has been very, very frustrating. And that's why I created the Automotive Standards Council for GA4, just to try to head off this kind of digging a moat around each platform. And thankfully, we have 80 companies on the council to form unified event names for GA4. And I want to thank you, Sam, and the dealer eProcess team for pledging the support.
And people need to understand too what they excel at. You know what I mean? Too many people are scared of Techion, for example, and saying, well, I don't want to do anything with them because they're just one development team away from building websites. Let them try. If they want to go ahead and build websites, fine. They can come in and challenge, and that creates more innovation. That creates everybody moving a little bit faster. I don't think they have any want or desire. I don't want to speak for them, but it takes a lot to manage websites. It takes a lot to be in the OEM programs. It takes a lot to allow dealer customizations and build and scale and do all these things. Yeah, you can stand up a website platform that's cookie cutter and checks the box for what Toyota wants, and you can get into the Toyota program. But the minute that you get 5 influential dealer groups that say we want it different, that's where you got to kind of, that's where the rubber meets the road, and you're going to prove out if you're going to make it or not. I know a couple new website companies that popped up like that recently.
Yeah, you have to be careful what you ask for, and I think out of any technology play in automotive retail right now, probably the most disastrous thing would be to try to start up a new website company, which brings me to a very simple question. What's new with dealer eProcess websites?
So I believe when I was on your show in person last time, we discussed a little bit of the Carbon website platform that we've been working on feverishly throughout this whole COVID situation. I'm pleased to announce we have a very high adoption rate as far as our SRPs go and our new home pages. We're going to be rolling out our VDPs very shortly. One thing that we made for all the dealers out there, in case you haven't heard or hadn't seen, and I don't know why others haven't caught up yet, We did the low inventory setting. So you're the first to call out the fact that if a car goes out of stock, it disappears from the website. It's not in the menus. It's not in the SRP filters. We went ahead and fixed that problem pretty gracefully, I might add. But there are dealers that are now starting to get more inventory in, but there's still some dealers out there, volume based, that are struggling to keep cars on lot. So we are here. We have a solution to help you with that. And as Carbon continues to roll out, it's going to be pretty fast paced, and the VDPs will be launching very shortly. We're taking the approach of fast, iterative, small pieces. So as opposed to waiting like others we have in the past to launch an entire VDP, we're launching things in sections. So it keeps dealers engaged. It gives us faster feedback on what people like and what they don't. Gives us really good A/B testing options. So we've got a lot that is being worked on for the Carbon website. So we're pretty proud of what we've done. It is definitely a consumer-first design. And we recently found out that can come to bite you in the ass when you go for a consumer-first design versus what the OEMs look for when it comes to metrics.
Well, listen, that is another whole conversation that I hope to have at MRC is like, what are the new metrics for modern retailing? I was an early educator talking about, hey, let's stop counting leads. Let's look at engagement. And to some degree, DEP was one of the first website platforms to embrace that standard where we made sure the website was tagged. We weighted different engagement points because we can't force consumers to fill out a lead form. Now, if you have OEM programs where the only thing they count as leads, well, then you're going to pop up forms all over the place. It's going to be like whack-a-mole, the game, where at every click and every page, another form. Yes, consumers will fill them out, but is it really helping dealers sell more cars? So, Sam, when you think about the future metrics, is there anything that you've been chewing on that you'd like to, challenge our listeners with? What's really an effective way to look is my website serving the needs of consumers?
So I'm excited for what we're doing with GA4. And before I get to what I'm hoping we can do, I'm going to cover a couple things that have popped up recently that I'd like to challenge. One is an oldie but a goodie. We used to really get hyped on the VDP views. It was all about the VDP views. We got to get more VDP views. We have never been a proponent of that. However, I will say, with the advent of Carbon and what we're doing with our digital retailing platform going through to the future and making the buying process on the VDP, there are some very, very awesome things that we can do and some great metrics that we can get as far as intenders to purchasing, what got their eye, what steps that they took to better understand your online shopper. So that would definitely be one thing I'd like to challenge is, again, the traditional VDP views versus what is going to be VDP or purchase views in the future. And the other one was the recent metric of searches on a dealer website. And I asked what searches on a dealer website meant, and I was told that it meant anytime a filter on the left-hand side was clicked and a page reloaded, or any search pages that were gotten to either from the menu or from any other type of browsing. So I stopped for a second and I scratched my head and I said, okay, when we built Carbon, and it was, again, consumer first focus, we changed mobile so that on the device, when you make a selection, it didn't completely reload the page in the site, make you go back to make a secondary selection. And that's the worst thing that you're ever going to experience in the world. On mobile, that's a bad time. On desktop, you can get away with it. You go to any normal site right now and you click a left side filter, it's going to reload and show you what you got. But mobile, we said we deserve, consumers deserve something better. So we changed it. So now I'm penalized because as opposed to, let's say, a dealer.com website where you pick a model, then it reloads, then you pick a trim, then it reloads, then you pick a color, then it reloads, then you pick a, feature and it reloads. My customers, when they have a DEP website, their shoppers will click the filters. They'll make 4 selections and click apply. The page will reload. I get counted 1 search where dealer.com got counted 5 searches. And that's a metric that they're actually rating. I won't say the OEM, but I'd like to challenge that because that is not a good experience.
Right. And I understand exactly what you're talking about because, as we are collaborating with all the website companies, DR companies, chat messaging companies, everyone's trying to figure out, okay, what should we do with these new event definitions? And what I'm hoping that the council will surface to the OEM program managers, to the OEMs, is what parity looks like. Let's not chase silly vanity metrics that are programmatically gameable. Let's really look at things that show an engaged shopper. And those are the conversations we're going to have to start having, Sam, because the spec is kind of stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
Now we have to move into the next stage, which is how do we make sense of the data to create the next generation of engagement measurement metrics.
So that's a great point. And to circle back and make full, sense of my explanation between the VDPs and then the SRP searches is maybe SRPs or searches overall, maybe less is better. Maybe getting the consumer to what they want is better. And by using GA4 and what we're working on with the council, we'll be able to see definitive results on, okay, shoppers that saw less searches went to more VDPs, showed higher intent on engagement with, let's say, trade, let's say any portion of digital retailing where they changed down payment, look at the term lengths, whatever it might be. You can now actually segment shoppers based on behavior and intent to purchase, as opposed to all the Fugazi metrics of the past, the VDP views, and you had this many, unique visitors, and then your time on site was this. Remember when time on site, a bigger number was better? Do we all remember that? And then all of a sudden, time on site was like, oh, it's plummeting. Oh, well, that's because it's better. We all changed our tune so quickly on that one.
Right.
But now we'll actually have something to look at and say, okay, if I serve less searches, I get them to results faster. They look at more VDPs, and then they show actual intention on activities on the purchase path on the VDP versus I've shown them more searches and I've gotten less VDP interaction on steps of the purchase path. Which would you rather have? I'd rather have less SRPs, more VDPs, and more purchase actions than more SRPs and less VDPs and less purchase actions. So there's a lot that we can really dive into with this GA4 stuff. So I'm pretty excited about really getting down to the nuts and bolts of what is going to drive consumer behavior and actual engagement, not BS engagement of how many searches, actual engagement on dealer websites.
Well, listen, we're super excited to release the GA4 specification version 1.0 at the Modern Retailing Conference in November. It will be the first time that the spec is released outside of the council. We're going to be having 5 workshops to help dealers and agencies and OEMs master GA4. We're going to have dashboard templates, Google Data Studio templates. The people who come out to MRC are going to absolutely benefit by having the best GA4 coaching. We're going to have members of the council available to answer questions. We're going to have smart people in the room who've worked the hard and long hours and worked through some of the frustration of GA4 to really provide value to the dealers who realize that next year their data measurement standard changes and they need to really test and kick the tires now. So our goal is to make sure as many dealers as possible have the new events firing in GA4 before the end of the year. So 2023 can be a complete year of robust data. When we think of GA4 and tracking consumer engagement, Sam, it would be remiss if we didn't talk about your future plans for digital retailing. Obviously, the carbon websites have been a big hit because we have shared customers who love them. You had Sarah as a digital retailing tool before the pandemic, and obviously saw huge interest from your website clients to be able to instantly turn on a more transparent tool to show the affordability of cars. But what's the future state or mindset for DEP? Are you going to just let other people's DR tools go on your website, or are you going to make a renewed effort to really create the ultimate DR platform?
So we're super proud of the success that we've seen with the Sarah digital retailing platform. And, be careful what you ask for sometimes. When we got an influx of dealers that joined the platform during COVID, we got a lot of really good feedback. And so what we've decided is we have one last update coming out for Sarah. We are just cleaning up some UI stylings and streamlining a couple steps. And then we are basically going to put that in maintenance mode. We're super proud of it. The team did a really good job, and it is time to move on to the next big thing. So what we've been slowly doing in the background is decoupling the entire payment processing system, the back-end engine, the taxes, the fees, the whole 9 yards, so that we could build an entire new front-end experience. And what that front-end experience is going to consist of is it's going to be very flexible for what the dealers want to do today. One of the big things that we learned from some of our really good clients is messaging, certain verbiage, certain styling, certain placement of buttons, certain workflows would work better for them than they do for others. And everybody has a little bit of a different spin. So our system in the past was always very linear. You could turn certain steps on or off, but for the most part, it was kind of A through Z, and that's the order that it was in. So going into the future, we are going to be creating a whole new custom workflow at a per dealer level to where dealers can customize what comes first, if they want to capture the lead at the beginning, at the end, in the middle, how they funnel consumers that initially start on just a trade portion, how they funnel them from trade into a digital retailing workflow, and really making it a more commerce-driven platform. And one way that we're doing it is, again, we're merging the websites and DR together. But for the people that don't use DEP websites, we're still going to offer the availability as a plugin option, which will come in 3 variations. You can do a pop-up, you can do a sidebar, and you can do the ever-hated subdomain. And the reason we are doing the subdomain is because this data sharing problem. We can't get DR solutions to give us data to help our shopping experience on our websites now. So I don't anticipate that website vendors, when I'm the DR vendor, are going to want to play nicely, vice versa. So we want to be able to control the shopping experience, doing shop by payments, resorting payments based on consumer credit score. And in order to do that, I need to control the search results page in the VDP as well. So that will be coming soon. We're going to be rolling it out in pieces over the next year. We're starting with the trade and credit portions. And then hopefully sometime after the beginning of next year, we'll be rolling out the initial DR version to some beta dealers and trialing that out. But we are super pumped about the work that we have gone ahead and done preemptively to get this kind of decoupled. And I'm really looking forward to getting this out wide.
Well, Sam, I love that news because, honestly, there's been a number of innovators that have come in to try to solve the retail sales process challenge. And, some of that has been limited by dealers' inability to get off the lead form drug, the dealer's inability to switch to a common desking platform that's used online and in store. So, coming to this point where you're doing a full rewrite, you have a chance to see all of the best parts of other innovations over the last 3-4 years, and then using your own native experience with the customer shopping journey on websites. I'm really looking forward to seeing this new platform. And of course, you're going to be part of the Modern Retailing Conference. We're all looking forward to hearing from leaders on what's the future of the franchise model. What does a modern sales process look like? How do we move from lead form chasers to connected real-time retailers? Sam, there's a lot to talk about, and the DEP team will be there in full force.
Yes, we will.
Well, for the dealers who haven't registered yet for the Modern Retailing Conference, I will just tell you that this is an interview in a series of interviews of all the key thought leaders that will be at MRC. Make sure you listen to the whole series, but make sure you take a moment today to go to modernretailingconference.com. Look at the agenda, look at the workshops, look at the speakers and format. This is a educational conference. This is a change management conference that when you come back, you will be richly rewarded with the information that we share. The conference sells out every year. Do not wait to the last minute. I'm just telling you this in advance so you don't send me emails later. We are cutting off Allied Industry tickets October 1st. That means for the 6 weeks starting October 1st up until the conference. Only dealer and OEM tickets will be sold. And I think by November 1st, we'll be completely sold out. So don't wait. And if this is the first time you're hearing one of my podcast interviews, you should know that I have dozens of interviews with industry leaders. Ooh, I'll fix that. You should know that I have dozens of interviews with industry leaders, innovators, and disruptors, and people that are really working hard, just like Dealer eProcess, to create an ultimate consumer shopping experience for their dealer clients. So make sure you listen, whether it's on the Google Play Store or Apple Podcast channel, SoundCloud, anywhere you get your podcasts. Just look for the Brian Pash Podcast, and would love to share other episodes with you. Well, Sam, thanks for your time. Congratulate the DEP team for all your innovations over the years, your awards, and, well, your constant focus on dealers. And for everyone else who's listening today, I look forward to seeing you on another podcast session.